Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Unapologetically Audacious podcast. Today, I have a really special episode, one that really hits home. 5 years ago, I had the pleasure and privilege of sitting down with somebody and having a conversation that really, truly has never left me. Somebody who, like me, left their dream job to pursue and answer a quieter, deeper call. You probably remember her. She's beautiful, talented. You'll definitely remember her for her energy and her effortless ability to connect with anybody that she meets. Phoebe Dykstra at the time with MuchMusic and MTV Canada. If you are somebody who feels this ache, like there's something more, you're not quite sure where it fits right now, that your story is still being written, like you are becoming, then you really did find this episode for a reason. This episode really is a homecoming. Phoebe is back 10 years later in Toronto after leaving the spotlight. She has gone on an incredible self-discovery journey, and she is here to share everything with you today. And I know so many of you are going to resonate with it. So for anybody that is sitting right now in their seats thinking, I feel lost, you're not lost. You're just in the middle of your story. And today we are going to take on this chapter together. So everyone, please join me in welcoming the incredible Phoebe. Phoebe, thank you so much for being here. So sweet. Now, Phoebe Vanderwart, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, well, I've had to learn it myself. It's actually van der Waard. Van der Waard.
Beautiful. I love it.
My husband is South African, so it's Afrikaans, which is a language that comes from Dutch.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was very awkward for the first, few years. People on the phone would be like, oh, what's your name? And I'm like, sometimes I just spell it to VAN. Because even if I say it, Van der Waard, they don't know what I'm saying. So,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, in Canada, it's Van der Waart, which is not as
Forgive me.
cool.
I love it. I love
Van der Waart. Yeah.
But Phoebe, honestly, it really is such a gift and a privilege to be here. We haven't met in person yet, even though it feels like we have. 5 years ago, I basically sent you an email. It was total word vomit. And I was going through something where I had left television, and I had always connected with you while you were on MuchMusic. I auditioned to be a VJ. It didn't turn out good, but I did. And I loved you. And for MuchMusic, you were a fan favorite. And that was something that was very evident. And you were so amazing at what you did. And I had followed your journey, and you had left, and you were transforming. And what was felt through you, what I felt was this authenticity in this journey of finding who you were. And I feel like I want to get emotional because that's what I connected with the most. And I was struggling so much at that time where I don't know what it was. There was a post or there was something that triggered it. And I was like, I need to talk to her. I wanted to have a conversation with you because I felt you. So I was in my living room pacing. I did voice to text. I just total word vomit to you. And I knew I wanted to have the conversation. And so many of the things that you actually said to me are my mantras for today. I kid you not. I say they are my mantras, and we will get into all of that. But it truly was such a privilege. And I actually just watched back some of that interview, and it's crazy how much we've both grown. And even you, you inspire me so much. And even just being here now, your aura, everything, you are unapologetically you. You are what I want people to feel, which is that freedom to be unapologetically audacious. So it really is a gift to be here. So that was long, but I just need you to know how special you are, and your life, your story, I know is going to touch the hearts of so many people like it has for me. And so I want you to take us back a little bit. This will have been 10 years since you left MuchMusic, 5 years later since our conversation. You grew up on a dairy farm, which is insanely amazing. You wanted to pursue this dream, and you got it, and you walked away. Take us back. Tell us, was it a slow burn? What was it within you that was I need to answer this call? Because in a video that you actually, part of your segments, the way you said it, I believe, was, I feel like I'm two people, but I'm only supposed to be one person. So please unpack that.
So I'm still figuring it out. Can you ask me the last part of the question again?
Yes. When you knew that you had to answer your deeper call, when you had to take that leap and look inward, was it a slow burn? Was it multiple things that made you feel that way? When did you know, and what did that look like? Why? Because there are going to be people watching today that maybe have their own dream jobs or are doing something that's expected of them, and they feel like there's something missing. They have it all, but it still feels like they're losing themselves.
Yeah, so I feel like even when I got hired for the job, just before I got hired, I was already starting to be interested in more spiritual concepts. I was reading philosophy and starting to kind of see a greater perspective beyond what we're shown by the media. And so when I actually got called to come in for the job, I was already like, it's strange because this was my dream from when I was young. Like you said, I grew up on a dairy farm, and I used to go to my cousin's house and watch music videos. And my biggest dream was like, I want to be that person on the TV. And I auditioned, and I made the top 17, I think, in the VJ search. And then I didn't make it beyond that. But then I moved to Toronto anyway. Again, I felt like a pull. It was like, I need to be in Toronto. There's something that's for me there. So I knew that, which again is, it's like a pull from the future. So I went, and when I was in Toronto, a girl who was following my journey in the VJ search was like, you should go down to MuchMusic and there's an open casting call. You should go. But my immediate thought was like, they're not going to pick me and I'm not going to put myself through this whole thing. But at the same time, I was starting to get into these like law of attraction concepts, and like I grew up on The Secret and was starting to get more and more into that, and like the vision board. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to make this happen no matter what. Like I could see myself there. And so but something in me was like, actually, I can do this and I will do it. So watch me. And so I went to downtown Toronto and did the audition, and I got one call back. And I kept coming back until eventually they stopped calling me, and I knew that I didn't get it. And so at that point, I was now in an apartment in downtown Toronto. I couldn't get a job anywhere. I'm applying at like dollar stores and grocery stores, and no one would hire me, and I'm running out of money, and I'm living in this like apartment with like rats in it, and it was like just the bottom of the line. I called my mom and I said, I need to come home because there's nothing here. And this very special woman, her daughter was a fan of my boyfriend who was in a band at the time. She was like this magical person in my life. She said, I want to pay for your rent. I want you to stay here. You're supposed to be here. So she kept paying for my rent so I could stay here for something. And then out of the blue, getting goosebumps, I thought it was a grocery store calling to hire me, and it was MuchMusic. And I was just, okay. But at the same time, I'd been getting into this philosophy and starting to see the world in a bigger picture. And so I said, I don't know if I can come down for the interview because I don't know if I want to work for the man, basically. And he was like, whoa, like, who are you? Like, to be saying that kind of thing. You have to come down for the interview. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll come. So I had already like gone into the job in a bit of a split, if that makes any sense. And so when I got hired and I actually started, I remember on my first day, like I brought a big salt lamp to put on my desk, and I had a golden Buddha this big, and I sat on a yoga ball. And so I was already like, I love Justin Bieber, and also like Om Namah Shivaya, like, you know. So I was already this feeling like too things that I'm still kind of learning how I feel now at this point. I'm starting to weave myself together and like own it all and be able to be all of it and almost like be a bridge between the two. You know, I can go to like a big concert at the stadium and then I can go and like, yeah, sing kirtan or do like a spiritual thing on the side and be okay with both and be like, yeah, embodied as it all. So yeah, that was all fine for a while at MuchMusic. I could go on TV and be this, you know, be this persona that I was creating. And then I would go home and burn my incense and, you know, and it was okay for a while until it became not okay anymore. I got very lost in the materialistic aspects, which we've connected about, you know, getting your hair done and makeup and wardrobe and having celebrities in your cell phone and that whole thing. It became this persona of Phoebe Dykstra, but I went home at the end of the day and I was like, but where is me? It was as if there was like this, version of myself, this like little Phoebe inside that was like, yeah, this is not it. Like, this is not, there's something fake about this. There's something, it was just, it wasn't me. It wasn't coming from the right place. And I also knew it had a cap. It was like, you can only take this so far. And like, I can pursue fame from a very young age. If you asked me when I was very young, what would you want to be? When you grew up, I'd say famous. Like that, I will admit that. That's what I wanted. And so eventually it was like this dissonance inside of wanting to pursuing fame, but at the same time wanting to pursue like, who am I actually? And so I'd be going like pushing it this way into, you know, how can I get more followers and how can I do this? But at the same time, like, how can I go deeper and discover who I actually am beyond this? So, but eventually it just became like, girl, you got to choose, because it was like I was in a dissonance with myself, batting back and forth because I didn't know how to do them both at the time. So yeah, eventually it just became too conflicting, I suppose. It's like the simplest thing to say. So yeah, and I remember getting so burnt out with being this persona, like going to this job but not feeling deeply fulfilled in it, that eventually I got burnt out, and my sister invited me to the West Coast, to British Columbia, to visit her on this little island called Salt Spring Island. And she introduced me to her community there, which is very, how do I describe the more spiritual community, I suppose. And yeah, it just opened me up to people that I could discuss the, I guess, more spiritual aspects of things with. And she took me to an ecstatic dance, which is now one of my favorite things in the world, where they play music and you just go and you just dance and you go wild, and it's all for yourself. It's not about a performance, and you go wild on the dance floor, or you can go very quiet on the dance floor. And I just got out there and I just let myself feel everything and be fully who I needed to be in that moment. And I felt, very free and very accepted in that environment, I suppose. And I didn't need to have the persona anymore, you know. And I stopped wearing makeup, and I stopped shaving my armpits for a while, but that didn't last very long. I was like, I'm gonna try this, but this is not me. I'm not into that. And so I went fully the opposite. I'm very extremist, I tend to be. So I went fully the other way. I was like, no makeup, no doing like, you know, no fancy hair, and just, went fully into this spiritual portal, I suppose. And I was on the mission to find out, who am I? That was my big question, was shedding Phoebe Dykstra, basically, and who am I underneath this all? And I thought that what I discovered in this like more spiritual community and this new thing that I was in, I moved into a little cabin in the woods, and I thought that was now going to be the end all be all. I can just, be smoking my doobies in the forest and I'm going to be okay. But something was like, no, this is not the end for me. This is like just a step along. This is not me. Like, now this is not me, And I created a second Instagram, and then I created a new persona. I'm now the spiritual Phoebe. So then eventually that became a second persona that was also not who I actually was. So yeah, I had to keep going on the journey to discover, what was... I had to go deeper. So, yeah. And yeah, I got very lost in that spiritual world. I feel like there's a lot of people who have started kind of journeying into that realm now. And I got very lost in it. I was doing a lot of plant medicines and psychedelics that were helping me shed the layers and crack open the shells, and but it wasn't really getting to the root, or I wasn't shown how to build myself up from that. It's like a collapse, okay, but how do you get out of that, So yeah, I was doing a lot of psychedelics, and I still had a lot of beliefs that weren't serving me, and I was still carrying with me. I still had this I'm famous, I used to be on TV thing. I also had this I don't want to work for the man thing, and so I was very stuck, because what do you do next? And yeah, it got pretty messy. I ended up living in my car and parked in like a forest or the streets in California, and was just very, very alone. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. From doing all the psychedelics, I got to a point where I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to be human. I wanted to play in these other realms, and I thought Earth and the human life was very boring. So I felt I was very disconnected from what's real and what's life. And so, yeah, that's an interesting part of my journey that was part of the journey. So, yeah. And eventually I got out of that. A friend of mine did a workshop in Peru that helps people rebuild themselves from these places after you kind of demolish all of the stuff, and then you're in the trenches. It's still very, very confusing. So I had some help from some people down there that pulled me out of this and shook me awake and showed me like, this is what's actually happening to you, and helped me wake up and start rebuilding myself from the ground up, which wasn't, this whole process is not always beautiful and definitely not understood by people who haven't gone through it. But yeah, I just felt like I got to do what I got to do here. And so, yeah, I started building my life up. It's so funny. My biggest fear when I worked at MuchMusic, I think I told you this, my biggest fear was if one day I quit and my crew at MuchMusic sat around in a circle and said, what's Phoebe up to these days? And someone else said, I think she's working at a coffee shop. And everyone started laughing. That was like my horror. That was my terror and the worst thing that could happen to me. So it was very funny when this team I was working with down in Peru said, you got to go back out in the world and you got to start building your life back up and you got to start paying off your debts and you need to shake all this stuff off. You need to go work in the service industry and you got to go work in like a coffee shop or a grocery store. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the worst thing ever. Just my ego, you know, did not want me to. How could I go from, you know, it's like I'm friends with these famous people to now I'm in a coffee shop. It's like, it's so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing for me at the time. But I trusted that if I want to be happy and I want to be well and I want to, then I have to go do this and I have to go do it and I have to be happy doing it. So it's extremely difficult. It started at a grocery store. I had to put this uniform on and super difficult for me. I was like, my insides were kicking and screaming. I was like, this is so bad. And actually, when I look back, that's one of the proudest things I've ever done for myself is go and just go and like, this is life. This is what people do. You're not above everyone else. Like I've had a princess complex and like I've had a princess complex and like entitlement energy with myself that I don't. I want to. That's not who I want to be, and it doesn't feel good to be that. Because you're in that superficial place that's not even real. Mm-hmm. It's not real life. You're not happy there to be the princess where everyone is serving you and waiting on you because you're not making yourself proud. Mm-hmm. And pride is how you love yourself. And if everyone's doing everything for you, how can you have the opportunity to make yourself proud? So now it's, for me, all about doing what will make me proud versus what will make me feel comfortable and safe, because that's how I can love myself more. And to be the queen is definitely a better place to rest. So that's the journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phoebe, your vulnerability, honestly, like it like stabs me in the heart in the best possible way. Because I think there are going to be a lot of people even, and I relate so much. So like I feel you, like just everything you're saying is just there's so many things I want to unpack, but one of the things you just said was being proud is self-love. And that was actually one of the mantras that you said to me. You're like, everybody tells you to just love yourself, but how? You have to do things that make you feel proud. And you did that for me. And you are a living example of we'll talk about shadow work later, but about like doing the work and then putting certain things into practice and finding yourself. Like life, it really is not about the destination. Like the journey really is what matters, because tomorrow is not guaranteed and we are going to evolve over and over and over, and we're always going to be shedding old skins. Always. And we're going to mourn as well certain versions of ourselves. But who you are now is different and has evolved since who you were back then. But the question I have is, Phoebe Dykstra, that girl 10 years ago, the little Phoebe would have looked at her and been like, oh my God, I did it. And she would be so proud. But now, 10 years later, what would you say to Phoebe Dykstra? The Phoebe Dykstra who was caught, who was split. What would your now version say to her 10 years ago?
Well, first of all, I just want to take a moment because you just pointed out something like massively huge, because I often look back at Phoebe Dykstra on TV and I've had some really nasty narratives around her, and just focused on how she was fake and she was caught in this stuff. But the reality that you're bringing forth is such a reminder for my little self that was all I wanted. As a little girl on the farm watching these new music videos, the host getting to talk to the band that was my favorite band, like that's all I wanted. I couldn't see anything beyond that. That's all I wanted. So to just remember that that's all I wanted and I got to live that. So to not forget that for the little Phoebe who's like, I was on a dairy farm. Like, come on. And how many people want that job? That was a coveted position for any young Canadian person with no journalist experience, with nothing. Funny story, that they actually, I was so bad, they actually picked me from the rejection pile. The new producers came in and they thought, let's do the opposite of what the producers had just been doing because they were making changes. So they went in the rejection tape pile and that's where they found me. And that's hilarious and also feels like fate. So I always think that's a funny little side note that I had no experience. And they saw me on camera saying, can I sit down? This is awkward. Can I, like, I was just being real. And they, although maybe my throws to camera, like my throws for the music videos were horrible, they thought there was something interesting there. So the fact that I got this job is, yeah, you can't forget about that. But the version of myself now to look back, yeah, I would just say, I mean, there's nothing to say to her because she did everything right, in my opinion. She had the courage to quit, even though everyone around her, you know, even my family was like, you know, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you're not doing this? I didn't go to school. I didn't think I was good at anything. I had a job that what more could I want? And even for me, what will I do if I don't do this? And it was, that was the vibe in general was, what are you going to do if you don't have this? And that ain't it. You don't stay in something because what will you do if you don't do this? I didn't know how I'd make money. I didn't know how I would reach my dreams that I still had of wanting to be an influence and make an impact on people's lives, which is something that I still feel that I want to be in a position where I can inspire people. I still feel that. I don't know how exactly that's all gonna, I don't exactly know how. But also it's not my priority now. My well-being and how I feel is my priority over everything. And now I have a husband and I have 2 babies and, that's priority. So yeah, I would just tell that Phoebe, you're doing it, and I felt a call to go to Toronto. I felt a call to go to the West Coast. There was something there for me and I didn't know what. And I need to explore this. Who am I? I need to go deeper. I need to do this. And so it was as if this concept of the hero's journey, there was a whisper, there was a call to action, they call it. There was a whisper, come, are you going to be the hero? And are you going to take this? Are you going to listen? And are you going to go? Or are you too afraid of what's going to happen if you leave this job and this city and, your Instagram followers or whatever, these people who see you in this one certain way? which is basically, are you going to stay in just the fear of what will happen if you don't have that? Or are you going to trust that there's something over here for you, even though you don't know exactly what it is? So yeah, I would just tell her that she's exactly on the right track. Take the leap. Jump into the abyss, because I can't imagine if I hadn't done that. I think the dissonance inside of me would have eventually become so uncomfortable. It was the discomfort of being in a place that I knew I wasn't supposed to be. And I see it. I see it in people who didn't take the call, who didn't take the jump. And now it gets stronger and stronger. The dissonance gets more and more, and you get more and more uncomfortable, but you don't want to leave behind your identity that you've created, that's given you your fame and your identity, everything you know about yourself. And I see it in people, and I would say one of the greatest examples of this, and it's someone that if you gave me a magical wand, and I've come to a point where I don't try to help other people anymore. I used to see things on people and see things that aren't serving people, or see where they're in confliction with themselves. And I used to try to post, share on social media, like, this is how you should change your life, or personally poke at people like, I see this, and I've discovered that it doesn't work, and it just turns people off, or it turns them against you. I've lost a lot of people in my life that I have cared very deeply for, through sharing what I actually think, and changing. If I have a tattoo that says, what does it say again? If nothing ever changed, we wouldn't have butterflies. And it's like, we're here. My mom used to say that to me, and I am change. Honestly, I am the epitome I am the symbol of the butterfly. And I love that about myself, and I intend to continue to metamorphosize forever. This is what I do. And if people are going to be not coming with me, then that's like, I don't give a fuck now. I don't care. It's sad. It's unfortunate. I came to Toronto hoping to reconnect with some people that I've cared very deeply, cared for very much, but they don't agree with me in some things that I've shared, and they don't. So, and you know what? Honestly, I don't agree with some things that I've shared, because I continue to change, and because we keep learning, more information comes in, more experiences come in. But because I'm vocal on social media, everyone's seeing my beliefs change, and my, me change who I am, and not everybody can see. So I really value the people that have been along with me on this journey the whole time. Like you, Rebecca, when you wrote to me, she actually stayed with me. She didn't drop off when she saw me, getting really weird. She understood Phoebe's going through a change now, and what she's doing is actually inspiring and can be, taken home to yourself. But there's the people who don't get it, and it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't care. It's sad to lose. It's sad to lose people that you love. It's sad to lose people you love. It's like, it's sad to lose people that you love. And at the same time, I can't lose sleep over that, or project my thoughts. People can do if people don't want to be happy, or people don't want to look at themselves, I'm going to do my own thing. I can't worry about that. If someone asks me for a thought, and if someone asks me for advice or help, I will give that person everything. will bend my world to help that person, and I will help them to my everything I have. But if they're not asking for help, I'm not going to even try. Sometimes I sprinkle a little, but they don't grab on, so I'm not going to try. But there's one person who I see as a prime example of someone who is stuck in this process of hearing a call and not answering it. And I feel that it's just that they don't know. They just don't know how. They just don't have the support or the right person. Because sometimes you need you need people. You need mentors to show up in your life. You need someone to put their hand out, and you can trust in them that they understand what's happening, and they can pull you out of what's happening. And I don't think this person has access to the right people to help them out. But this person is Britney Spears. Do you follow her on Instagram?
I don't, but I've periodically checked in, and I have a lot of compassion for her.
Yeah.
I have a lot of compassion.
I feel she's very stuck in this place that you might understand it. Of course, mine would be on like a micro level just because of her level of fame. But I can understand the process that she's in. And I feel she's very stuck in this place where she's in a loop, and she's trying to, her identity is trying to keep living itself out, but it's putting her into like it's putting her into a psychosis. It's the simplest. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This is just my own lived experience of what the places that I've been. So I feel that if life could grant me one person, I'm happy to help anyone. But if life was like, I see her and I see her struggle, and gosh, it's not a nice place to be.
Yeah.
Alone. And she's sharing it with the world. And I feel like her sharing it with the world is a cry for help. But how do you get to her? I don't have connections to get to her. If it's meant to be, it will be. But I think that she is, gosh, she feels so sweet and so creative and so, there's something really, really special about her. But the way that she was put into fame so young and everything, it's like she's stuck in this place that's, gosh, I just feel like I just want to save her. I just want to help. I just want to be her friend, and I just want to help. I just want to put my hand out, and I just want to help her out of this place that she's in, because it's just not nice.
Well, if only the people in her life, you can't assume that they don't care as much, but if only the influence in her life was willing to guide her in the direction of the self and looking inward. She was famous at a young age. She did not choose that. Her fame was decided for her, right? And as her fame evolved and the popularity evolved, she just kind of got caught up in it. Not even probably getting a second to decide, whoa, but loved the attention. A young girl probably was gifted, was talented, so she enjoyed what she was doing. But at what point did she get a real break to be like, is this what I want? She probably got so far into it that it's like, how do I come out of it? And it's like you were saying about the identity. But basically to like all encompass even earlier, like you took that chance on yourself, right? think about the amount of people that don't answer that call, who not even when it comes to their careers, it's in their relationships, it's in the work that they're doing, it's in their daily routine that they just settle with their life because they think it's the way things ought to be, or it's what's expected of them, or, well, I don't know another way, or how could this even be within my reach kind of deal. People settle in their life because the unknown is a very scary place, and they bury and bury and bury that whisper, that inner voice, and you can't help but hope that there will become a point when they do answer that call. Because we are meant to evolve, like you said, like that beautiful quote. We are meant to become butterflies all our life. We are meant to shed those versions of ourselves. And even just like the influence, you saying how there are people that, you know, it really hurts when you do lose people that you cared so deeply about. But at the same time, we know that people are aligned with us with certain versions of who we are. But our people, our true people, are the ones that see us, because being seen is the highest form of love. You don't need to agree with everything that somebody is doing, but those people you won't lose, because that unconditional love for a person is accepting people exactly as they are and seeing them and loving them fully for the versions that they are. Think about a mother and their child. Their child will go through so many different things. You're a mother now. You're going to love your two beautiful girls no matter what versions they're in, no matter what stages they're in, because you appreciate them, you love them. There's that unconditional bond. There are a lot of friends like that too. But
you'll always love them, but you might not always like them.
That's right.
When I got married to my husband, we got married in Las Vegas, so we're like, we don't know what this pastor is gonna say, and he said, you'll always love each other, but you might not always like each other, which is so true. And
love is a choice. Love is a choice. It's very much a verb.
Love absolutely is a choice.
Love is a choice. But you clearly do leave a mark on people. And it's so interesting how you said that you don't give advice. Like, if it's asked for, then you'll give it, because you recognize that projecting onto people, like, they have to be in that space to receive that information, and they have to want that change. That's just the reality.
That's a very new thing. That's a very new thing.
But it is hard, because you see it and you're like, oh, come on. Like, I wish you would see what I see in you. You just want to like shake them and be like, don't you see this? Like, there's just this little thing. But we all can sometimes have this like tunnel vision, and we think things have to be a certain way. We hold on and we grip it so tight that our ego gets in the way. That could be what prevents us from hearing, or whatever it is. But don't underestimate the impact that you have, because real does recognize real, and people do feel you. They do. I know I did. I speak for myself, and I know that there's so, the greater collective that will as well. And I know it's like a cliche thing to say where, well, if this person doesn't want you in their life anymore, it's their loss. But it is their loss. It's their loss. Because you are lovable, you are so worthy, and people are lucky to have known you when they needed you the most in that version, and they're lucky to know you now, and those that haven't met you are lucky to know you to come. So yes, how can people take this concept of the hero's journey and understand it in a tangible way for their own lives?
Well, it's really cool when you start to understand and you can look at what it is. The hero's journey is a concept and a story structure from Joseph Campbell. And if you look at any of the big movies like Star Wars or Lion King, they're all following this story structure. And you can look at it and see it as a big circle. And the top half is the ordinary world, and the bottom half is the magical world. So the ordinary person, soon to be hero, if they follow this call, imagine they're traveling around the circle clockwise, and there's points along the journey that are very prominent.
Right.
So you first need to actually hear the call, and you will if you're listening, and then the hero can either decide to take it or to ignore it because they're too afraid. And once they take the call, it's like the hero is stepping into the unknown, and they're going on a mission to retrieve an elixir. So whether you know exactly what you know, it's the key to your father's whatever that will unlock the, this could be a call, or on a more spiritual kind of level, it could be the question that I had of, who am I? And I'm sure there's other things that I was looking for along my journey as well. And then there's steps along the journey that are very prominent. So if I now look back, so you go and you start meeting mentors, and you have an atonement with the Father. So you'll actually, in life, it's not just a story structure. It's what we're living we're living these heroes' journeys in our lives. Right. And then someone will show up, or it's a masculine energy or a father figure that will show up. And you can actually start to look at your life and see, I'm at the stage in the journey of the atonement with the Father, where this masculine energy is giving you shit, basically, of like, wake up, or, whatever the advice is that comes from the grandfather. And then you can actually clock it and keep looking. And then there will be a grandmother figure that will, or, a tough feminine energy that will show up. And you can actually see in your life where you are on this path. So this is what I lived. This is what happened to me when I left MuchMusic. It was a call to action, and you can actually map everything that happened in my life. And then eventually you come out of the magic world, and the magic world was when I was doing all these plant medicines and deeply exploring in, these magical kind of places. And then now I've been coming out of it and reintegrating into the normal world. And I will say that where am I on the hero's journey? Because I look at my life in this way now, and where am I on the map? And have I returned? And when you return to the ordinary world, you return with your elixir. If you're lucky, if you don't get stuck. If you don't get stuck in the magic world, you gotta return to the normal world. It's not about staying in this exploration. It's about integrating it and coming back. So coming to Toronto felt like, it was crazy because we didn't intend to come to Toronto.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got back, I looked at my husband, who's also been on a similar journey as me, which is very interesting. Holy, does it feel like the completion of this hero's journey to you? Yes. It's very strange to be literally back in Toronto as if it's the completion. So to be here and have this conversation with you now feels very wrapping up this cycle. And I don't exactly know how you tie the bow, whether this conversation is that, how you actually finish it. Now I have the elixir. I know who I am now. I know who I am because I choose who I am, which is the answer to my question. And I can always know who I am, and it's never based on anyone else's opinions and anyone else's thoughts of me, or even who I could feel like I am in the moment. It's who I choose. It's who I choose to be. So I found that. I found the answer. I found that for myself and many other things. And now what exactly is it? Now I have the elixir. How exactly do you bring your elixir back out into the world? A conversation like this. So it feels as though that hero's journey is completing, but then it's like life. Another call will come. So I look at life now as hero's journey within hero's journey within hero's journey. So if someone is feeling a call, look where it's coming from. Like, is this a weirdo thing to do? Or like, is this coming from a place of something? But so I'm super fascinated by this concept. It's really cool to see.
No, it absolutely is. And I was also thinking, like, how does this apply in my life? I'm like, oh my goodness, the Father here, the this here. And I think a lot of people, that really puts it in such a practical It's a practical approach to understanding it, because I think a lot of like the spiritual journey and certain jargon that's kind of used, a lot of words are overused. A lot of things are taken out of context. A lot of concepts are not fully understood. And I think that could be a huge deterrent for people. Even something like shadow work, for example, it's turning inward. It's looking to the dark parts of you. That doesn't mean the evil parts of you, right? But even a term like that, it's like, what does that really mean? It's turning inward. But everybody has sort of different ideas of what spirituality is, or what it actually means, or what that inner call looks like. And so...
yeah, and things have been woo-wooed.
Yes.
Things have been woo-wooed. Things that are actually real.
Exactly.
Things are actually real. Things have been woo-wooed, and then it turns people off who are...
That's right.
They're like, oh, that's a woo-woo. But if you... It wasn't always...
It
wasn't always that.
That's right.
It wasn't always that.
That's right. But that's why, like, just this conversation in general, I think there's going to be a lot of people that really do resonate, and people watching that are like, oh my gosh, this is where I am in my hero's journey, or I felt that, or for the first time, I feel seen. And that's the whole point of this. It's that we can learn so much from everybody, and we should never underestimate the impact that we have and the footprint that we leave behind. And you should never either. I just keep feeling called to like remind you of that, even though you don't need reminding.
I need reminding, because I have a pressure on myself of it, how much is enough. You never feel like you're doing enough. You never feel like you're. But the truth and the belief that I'm ingraining is that what's here is enough.
It's a beautiful concept. I struggle with that too.
It's a choice.
Yes. And what's here is in fact enough. We talked a little bit about self-love. We talked about the hero's journey. Another mantra of yours that you said to me, and I'll never forget like the way you said it too, like it was just everything about our conversation all those years ago so special. But the ego is very beautiful. That's what you told me, and it can be a very beautiful thing. Can you unpack that for everybody today? Because I feel like when people hear ego, they think about it in like this negative way, but it doesn't always have to be negative. And our ego really drives our decisions. And sometimes we don't always have the discernment to know where it's coming from or the intention behind that. Can you clarify that for people? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely feel like nowadays, as people are exploring more of the spiritual concepts, they're completely trying to get rid of their ego, which at one stage I thought is what was supposed to happen and is what you are to do. In the Eastern philosophies, it is about dissolving your ego. I feel as if the ego, we need it to survive. I don't feel like I have full clarity to be able to give you the answer that you want for this.
I think you gave the answer that you were supposed to give. Everything is divine.
I feel my whole life was ego. Then I went to a place of trying to get rid of it, trying to get rid of it as if it was a plague. And now I feel as if I've incorporated my ego in a very healthy way. I could be perceived by someone as being very narcissistic or very egoic. And I feel very happy with who I am. And I feel very balanced. And I'm okay to shout from the rooftop of how great I am, which would be your ego. I feel I have a good relationship. I feel I have a good relationship with it. And I feel like it's part of the human experience. When we die, I don't think you have an ego when you're floating around and all connected to everything as one. But maybe the ego is what gives us our personality and what gives us our characteristics, our desire to want to speak on a podcast.
Yeah.
If I had no ego, I shoved it all down, which is actually impossible to get rid of your ego anyway, but you stuff it down. I would be sitting at home and I would be in a deep meditation, fasting until I am in oblivion and abstaining from sex or all the pleasures of life. That's what having no ego is. And why would I want to do that when life is filled with delicious things like,
Of course.
pizza and talking on the TV. I don't know. That's my thoughts on ego. I can't give you a philosophical answer because I'm not a philosopher, but that's my thoughts.
No, it's
on
perfect.
The ego.
And a huge part of that too is you love yourself.
Mm.
That's what we all should strive to do, which is love and accept ourselves. But Phoebe, we are just about out of time. There is a question I always ask everybody, but I want to close out quickly with, there's so much that I wanted to cover, but I know that we covered what was meant to be covered right now. Is there anything that you feel called to say to the listeners and to the viewers today that I didn't ask? Well, I'm having this, I just put up this very beautiful mandala, this like huge mandala in my bedroom. It's wooden, hand carved in Bali. And I was sitting and I was looking in the center of it, which a mandala represents the self. And I was sitting and I was looking in the middle of it and I thought, I haven't actually looked into the center of a mandala this big and encompassing for a long, long time. And it took me back to 2017 when I was in Peru and I had just done this ayahuasca ceremony and this workshop. And I was right in the middle of it. And up on the wall was a huge tapestry of a mandala. And I remember looking across the room and I was looking into the center of this mandala. And this is when I was going through this stage of shedding my TV and trying to figure out who I am. And I looked at it and I remember the gentleman that was guiding the workshop at the time. And he said from across the room, Phoebe, baby, you don't have to worry. Like this energy of Phoebe, you're going to be okay. You can chill. Like it's all working out. And I just remember looking in the center of this mandala and just feeling overwhelmed. And how is it all going to happen? And what if I don't get there? And, what if I never find, all I wanted at the time was to find my man. What if I never find him? Or what if I never become everything I want to be? And my face was just, I wear my emotions on my face. Like, and he was like, just. And as I looked into this mandala the other night, I was teleported back to that moment. And I thought, gosh, if I could have just seen myself now, how many years ago was that? 2017, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 8 years. I could have just teleported forward to this mandala. And I'm looking at it and it's white and it's beautiful. And I'm seeing, and my man is next to me. And my two beautiful babies, toddler and baby. Like, my life is so full. Mm-hmm. My life is so full. I am so taken care of. My life is so beautiful. There's so much excitement to come. Yeah.
But whether it was my choices, yes, I've made excellent choices from a place of wanting to make myself proud, and I never flopped. I kept going. I could just see that it's like it's all working out. And yeah, just chill. Don't need to worry. And exactly what you said. It's all about the journey. And I want to get to the destination. I want to get to the destination.
What is the destination?
But what is the destination? You die.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you die. And if you don't appreciate the journey, you've missed the whole point. And that's a difficult concept for me because I want to get to the destination. But you've shown me so much today, the points along the way, and to make sure you appreciate them. So my advice is like just chill. It's all happening. Like there's no reason to be on earth except to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And be happy and have fun and enjoy your life. What else is there to do?
You're right.
Just be happy along the way and chill. And eat pizza and feel the sunshine on your skin. Why else are we here?
It's true. Phoebe, you're amazing. That leaves me with everybody to remind you that it's like Phoebe's saying, the whole point is the journey. We crave this, we want to fast track. We want the destination. But if you can take anything from this today, take a second for yourself, pause, be present in whatever way or form that looks like for you, and ask yourself, what part of my journey and my story am I in? And what would happen if you trusted it? Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Phoebe, thank you so much for being here. Honestly, I appreciate your energy, your time. This has been an incredible conversation, and I know it is going to reach so many people. So thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.